Is it possible for time to stop? Not like in a movie or in a dream, but truly, clocks freezing, nature in silence, the world suspended. That's exactly what happens in the small town of Bosnia-Herzegovina, Medjugorje. Clocks stop, animals go silent, the air becomes dense, and in that moment, at exactly 6:40 p.m., it feels like the sky touches the earth. Stay with us until the end, because what you are about to hear breaks all known laws of reality, and it may be the clearest sign yet that the eternal has already entered our world. It all began one afternoon in June 1981. 6 teenagers claimed they were seeing the Virgin Mary, and something happened that has no logical explanation. Time literally stopped. It was 6:40 p.m. From the very first day, the visionaries said that the Virgin descended at that exact time, and at that very moment, dozens of clocks stopped working. All showed the same hour, 1840. This marked the beginning of one of the strangest and best documented phenomena in the history of Marian apparitions. The first testimonies came from ordinary pilgrims. One was Sopako, a watchmaker from Mostar. He wasn't just a tourist. He went up the hill carrying several watches, including a professional one for technical measurement. He said, "I couldn't believe it. All 3 of the watches he had stopped at 6:40. It was as if some invisible force had frozen them." Another case involved an Italian couple who showed their watches, a Cartier and a Rolex, to a priest. Both had stopped at exactly 6:40. They had never failed before. In another episode, 5 Austrian pilgrims saw their watches stop at the exact moment the visionaries fell to their knees in ecstasy. One of them, Hans Lackner, an electronic engineer from Vienna, wrote in his diary, "My watch was checked before the trip. The strangest thing, it started working again when the apparition ended. No one had touched it." But the most astonishing case was that of Drossen, a physics student from Zagreb. He brought an experimental atomic clock with digital synchronization. During the apparition, the atoms inside didn't vibrate with the usual rhythm, as if time itself stopped flowing as normal. He later testified that the phenomena couldn't be replicated, not even under controlled laboratory conditions. These testimonies were documented in parish archives, personal diaries, and interviews by priests and scholars. But also, according to hundreds of witnesses, every afternoon, as 6:40 p.m. approached, everything changed. The air thickened, the temperature slightly rose, and suddenly, silence. Absolute silence. No crickets, no birds, no barking dogs. Even the horses remained motionless. Witnesses described a kind of sound vacuum that you normally only experience high in the mountains, but here it happened at ground level. It was as if all the creation recognized something sacred was taking place. One of the visionaries, Vika Ivankovic, said in one of her earliest testimonies to Father Tomsul Blasik, everything fell still, as if the world knew she had arrived. We could hear nothing, only the beating of our hearts. At the same hour, while many people fell to their knees in reverence, others reacted violently. On several occasions, some individuals began to shout blasphemous, guttural voices. They cried, and some convulsed. One case involved a woman from Sarajevo who began to speak in an unknown language while the visionaries were in ecstasy. She was brought to Father Jozo Zovko, who recognized signs of spiritual possessions. But the most striking moment was when the visionaries declared that the Virgin was leaving. The possessed woman fell exhausted to the ground, and immediately the clock started ticking again. and the animals resumed their activity. Could this all be coincidence? Father Zdravko Barbarik, initially skeptical, interviewed over 30 people whose clocks had stopped. He confirmed that the watches were of different brands and from different countries. Some were digital, others mechanical, but they all shared one detail. They had stopped between 6:40 and 6:45 p.m. Even pilgrims who couldn't speak the local language or knew nothing about the phenomena said they felt something unusual was happening at that hour, without even checking the time. Over time, 6:40 p.m. became a kind of spiritual appointment, a meeting with heaven. Father Tomislav Blasik gathered similar testimonies. Parish records show that the phenomena occurred repeatedly in the days and years that followed. It wasn't an isolated event, but a recurring sign, and it wasn't just the faithful trying to understand what was happening. In 1984, Dr. Philippe Larone, a neuropsychiatrist from Paris, conducted clinical studies on the visionaries during apparitions. He found that all of them entered a state of deep concentration. Not trance, not hypnosis. They didn't respond to sound stimuli, only to the light they claimed to see. Later, Professor Henry Joyeux of Montpellier studied the 6 youths and said, "They all react simultaneously to something we cannot see. The phenomena is real. It defies simulation." Dr. Henry Joyeux also led a team to study the psychological reactions of the visionaries. In later interviews, he mentioned that the stopped clocks were one of the most baffling signs, evidence of an unexplainable environmental alteration. What does all this mean? Many interpret it as a sign that Mary's presence transcends time, that when the Queen of Peace descends, she brings with her a piece of eternity. Father Joizo Sofko once said in 1983, "The world moves according to its clocks, but in Medjugorje it is God who marks the hour, and in his presence time stops. If God stops time to say, 'I am here,' then it's an invitation to pray, to look heavenward." That's why visionary Marja Pavlovic said that during the apparitions, she not only felt time stop, but it was as if she had stepped outside of time itself. She described it as a state of eternity, where earthly things no longer matter. The Medjugorje phenomena has few parallels in other apparitions, but there are mystical precedents where time appears altered. At Fatima, the so-called miracle of the sun, on October 13, 1917, was interpreted as a suspension of physical laws. In Garabandal, witnesses said the visionaries, who were blind, ran backwards without touching the ground, and entered ecstasy without responding to external stimuli, suggesting a different perception of time. At Guadalupe, the ancient account of the Nicene Mafua describes an experience beyond chronological time. More than 4 decades have passed since those first apparitions, and yet the divine rhythm hasn't changed. At 6:40 p.m., day after day, the Virgin continues to descend in Medjugorje. Of the 6 original visionaries, only Marja Pavlovic continues to receive daily apparitions, and whenever she's asked, her answer is always the same. The Virgin arrives at exactly 6:40 p.m., except on rare occasions when she herself indicates otherwise. That hour remains special in Medjugorje. At 6:40 p.m., music fades, conversations stop, and everyone prays. To this day, some pilgrims say their watches malfunction in Medjugorje. Others claim they feel it is 6:40 without looking at the time, and they say that when they pray at that moment, they experience a profound peace. This is what we wanted to share with you, one of the most mysterious and inexplicable phenomena in the Apparitions of Medjugorje. If you found this story meaningful, please like the video, share it with your friends, and if you haven't already subscribed to the channel and enable notifications so you don't miss anything, may God bless you and may you receive a special peace when you pray.
Hello, dear brothers and sisters. Welcome back to Mother in Refuge of the End Times. We are excited to announce that Mother in Refuge will be collaborating with John Leap's ministry to present a once-in-a-lifetime event. We introduce the Exorcism and Deliverance Conference titled Shielding the Children of God. This 2-day event, which culminates in a live worldwide exorcism, will be providentially held on the feast days of St. Benedict and St. Veronica on July 11th and 12th, 2025, held live in New Jersey or online via live stream. With 3 powerful exorcists presenting, as well as an ex-satanic wizard, Zachary King, and more great speakers. We are thrilled to welcome our keynote speaker, Cardinal Simoni, Chief of the Catholic Exorcism, known as the Living Martyr. Cardinal Simoni was unjustly imprisoned and on death row in communist Albania for 28 years. Now, he is an active universal exorcist and teacher exorcist. He is described by Pope Francis as the exorcist of exorcists. We also welcome Monsignor John Esseff, spiritual son of Padre Pio, and previous spiritual director of Mother Teresa in the Missionaries of Charity. Purchase your conference tickets now for 20% off using coupon code Mother in Refuge. Register now on website www.johnleaps.com or scan this QR code for more details. Don't miss out on this powerful spiritual event. Be strengthened, be restored, and be cleansed.